Okay, so I think one nice thing to think about as you're working with all of these different pentatonic sounds is to also take into consideration rhythm and, excuse me, motivic development, meaning an idea, a melodic idea that's often repeated and then perhaps elaborated on. So, you know, it's kind of like a theme and variations concept. You have an idea, and then you can elaborate on it or not, but you just simply move that idea through the different pentatonics. And that's exactly what's happening in the first 4 bars here of this song. So we have this fragment of an idea. And then, so we're pulling that out of the A minor pentatonic scale. We're just laying that right on top of the A minor 7 chord. So it's about as inside as you can get. And the thread that's holding it together now as we move in a dissonant direction, we're going to be superimposing a B flat minor pentatonic scale up a half step on top of the D7. And that's pretty dissonant. I mean, we could analyze these and they'll all kind of fit in a D7 altered sound. But I think really what will hold it together is this motive and developing that. So you don't necessarily have to repeat it verbatim. If we did that, it would sound like... You could certainly do that, and that will, even be, a little tighter in holding it together. But we can just basically take this template of B flat minor, and what's written here is just kind of a variation on that. And then we go up another half step to superimpose a B minor pentatonic idea on top of the G major 7. And we can carry that over the C major 7. So you have two, kind of unifying elements there. One is this repetition and thematic thing that's used throughout those changes. And another one is the unifying element of the minor pentatonic sound in and of itself has a very familiar sound. And so even if you use it in a dissonant context with the B flat over D, for example, there's still something very, very familiar and relatively consonant sounding about it. Okay, as we move forward, we're going to check out the Kamoy scale. So this is a great move in the context of a minor 2-5. On the F sharp minor 7 flat 5, we're going to superimpose the A Kamoy. So we have this. And then for the B7, we're going to take that Kamoy and move it up a minor third, or up 3 frets, and in this case move to a C minor Kamoy on top of the B7. And that's very appropriate for an altered sound. And then we'll resolve it to an E minor on top of an E. As we move into the next section, the next A section, beginning in measure 9 with A minor 7, we're going to take the same concept that we started off with in terms of this motivic development, this idea of a motive. So our first idea is... And that's extracted from an E minor pentatonic, so we're going to take our concept from earlier, the minor pentatonic substitution. We're going to play the E minor, which is the 5 of A, and we're going to play some E minor pentatonic ideas on top of the A. And then we'll take that same theme and repeat it down a half step to E flat minor, and we'll superimpose that over D7. And that's kind of nice. And then you would kind of expect it to go down maybe another half step. So sometimes it's great to go with the obvious, and sometimes it's great to not do that and go in the other direction. And that's what's happening here. Rather than moving down a half step and playing some D ideas over G, we're going to go back up and play some E minor ideas over G major 7. So it's kind of, again, there's that idea of a question and answer concept. Here's your question, and then we're answering it with a line now that moves down instead of up. And then it moves up. So that's, and again, there's a period at the end of that little phrase there. So we're ready to move on to something else. So we're going to stick with the move of superimposing 2 Kamoy scales over a minor 2-5 in this next section from bars 13 through 16 here. And we're going to use the A over the F sharp half diminished and the C Kamoy over the B7, and then we'll bring it home resolving to E minor. For the last part of the song, we're looking now ahead a little bit at 21. we're going to continue this idea yet again of, motivic development by repetition. So we're going to stick with E minor over A minor again. So we have the A minor 7 chord, and we'll play a little E minor fragment. And now we can go up a half step instead of E flat as we went to before. This time we'll go up to F minor and superimpose that over the D. And then take that one step higher to F sharp minor over the G major 7. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that, some of these ideas that we're superimposing over dominant 7 altered chords, they don't fit all the time like a glove in the same way that an altered scale does. And that's not the point to do that. I mean, we don't want that. We want something different sounding. So if some of these notes sound a little dissonant at first to you, that's a good thing, because remember, the whole concept that we're going for is this idea of tension and resolution. And I think what's really valuable about this pentatonic concept, particularly for more experienced jazz improvisers, is that you get to the point where you learn a lot of bebop language, and you've worked out all your patterns, and you know how to play dominant diminished and whole tone and altered and all of these common melodic templates, I guess, or palettes to use over altered dominant chords. But then they kind of start to sound very familiar and almost too inside. So you get to the point where like a lick based on the altered scale almost doesn't sound very tense anymore or dissonant, because you're so accustomed to that sound, and that's especially true if you learn a bunch of licks and play kind of the same patterns over and over again. So what this does is offer another choice to deal with those altered dominant chords, and it's something that's fresh and that you can really bring into your playing that will create a nice alternative. So I think that not only are these pentatonic substitutions really attractive to beginning and early intermediate level players, but they're especially relevant, I believe, to advanced improvisers, because it's just a new way of dealing with 2-5-1s, especially in the context of an altered dominant sound. So that's what's going on here. As we move forward to 25, we're going to superimpose an A minor pentatonic, so over the F sharp. So as we've seen, the A Kamoy fits really nicely over that. But the A minor pentatonic is also really nice. It's a little bit of a harder sound, especially if you focus on that G, because that's the flat 9 of F sharp. But it's a cool sound. It's really nice. It's got a nice vibe to it. And then speaking of dissonance, but we're also working in half steps, so there's our thread that's holding it together. We're going to superimpose F minor pentatonic ideas over the B7. That definitely does not sound like B altered. It does not have this vibe. Not at all. It's completely different. It's more like... So that's a really, but again, the whole point is to create some color, to create some textural variations, and this definitely does that. So again, don't worry about the fact that the F minor pentatonic has a B flat in it, and somebody told you that you can't play B flats or A sharps on top of a B7 because it's a major 7, and just don't worry about that. Duke Ellington didn't worry about it. Billy Strayhorn didn't worry about it, so we don't need to worry about it. It just is it's an overall sound that we're looking for, and this creates that. When we get to the E minor 7 to A7 move there, then we'll bring it, we'll rein it in a little bit and play inside, outlining basically an E minor 7 arpeggio for that move. And then we'll continue that. We'll repeat that over the next 2-5, D minor to G7. And then we'll cap this off with this wonderful Kamoy move that we've seen earlier in minor thirds. So we'll use the A Kamoy over F sharp, half diminished, C Kamoy over B7 altered, and then E Kamoy over E minor, which will give this really nice, kind of an E minor 6 sound. And then this etude ends with just a really nice E minor 6/9 voicing.